This is our intro until we find out an intro. Sideline Whispers.
There you go. All right, so what do we got this week? A week before Super Bowl Sunday? Well, a week and a day before Super Bowl Sunday. Who would have thought? Kansas City and Eagles once again.
The Super Bowl that nobody wanted. Except for
Yep,
Eagles and Chiefs fans, I guess.
I didn't want it,
No,
but
me neither.
neither. I'm neither an Eagle or a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I was come championship weekend, I was rooting for the Bills and Redskins or Commanders, which is funny because I saw that they're pushing to get the Redskins name back. They have like 60 something thousand fans that it's literally ran by one of the tribal nations, so it's ran by Native Americans, and they got like over 60,000 votes to change it back to the Redskins, which is hilarious.
I so
uh
hope they.
I know, but they I was hoping for Washington versus Buffalo in the Super Bowl, just based on the championship teams. I thought that would have been a very interesting game, high scoring, 100%, and
Yes,
it just would have been something different, but kind of not different because they did face off in '91, I think.
way back in the day. But can you imagine Jaden Daniels as a rookie QB? Everybody was so hyped up for Caleb Williams. Yeah. Jaden Daniels comes in, steals the show this whole season, and leads his team to the Super Bowl. That would have been a storyline.
For sure. And speaking of Jaden Daniels, one, props to you. You said he was your QB1 in the draft. And I'm going to call my shot right now. I think coming in this year and next year, I think he's QB1 in the NFC. He's
Oh,
I think he's the best QB in the NFC right now.
this year it's got to be him or Jared Goff, I'd say.
Yeah, I could see that. But who, if you had to have one QB on your team, who do you want? Jared Goff or you want Jaden Daniels? I want Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'd take Jaden Daniels still. He's like Lamar Jackson light, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I think he's probably not as shifty as Lamar. I think Lamar's a good passer. I think Jaden might be a little bit better of a passer, but I think Lamar is. Yeah, I mean, Lamar's the best running QB we've probably ever seen.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I think Jaden Daniels is QB1 in the NFC. That's my hot take. I don't think it's that hot of a take.
As a rookie to come in, see my argument against that to play devil's advocate, he's only done it once. There's so many other quarterbacks who have gone one season and fizzled out. Look at like Cam Newton, he had one great season and he did make it to a Super Bowl, but I think that was his one good season. After that, he didn't really do much, did he?
Yeah, I think that was like that might have been his downfall, but he was good before then. I think he ended up. I think he may have been playing injured that season a little bit,
Yeah.
but also I think injuries just caught up to him. But I mean, Cam Newton, if Cam Newton never got hurt, I think I'm pretty sure he hurt his throwing shoulder, and I think that took a lot out of him. But I think I mean he was good, short. His window was very short, but I mean I just think, it's I don't see many QBs. I think Jared Goff is good, not great. I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how he plays without Ben Johnson calling plays. I think Jared Goff is
Yeah.
he's a very usually, except for a couple games, including against the Washington, is he's accurate, but I think he's very good at timing and like fast paced, quick throws. Because I think he was one of the leaders in the NFL and like the amount of his yards being yards after catch, the amount of
Yeah.
his passing yards being yards after catch. So a lot of short, quick throws. So I just think it'll be interesting with Ben Johnson leaving how Jared Goff can translate. I do think Jared Goff also has a way better supporting cast than Jaden Daniels did. I mean, Jaden has Scary Terry, who's amazing, but like Jared Goff's got that O line. He's got Amron.
Yes.
He's got Gibbs and Montgomery. And you can make an argument if Gibbs was the full time starter. I mean, he's right up there, I think, with Saquon and Henry and all those other and Jacobs, all those top tier. I think if Gibbs was the bell cow, I think he might not be as explosive because he's not splitting carries, but when he runs, you can just tell the dude's he's a guy. Where David Montgomery is more of a grinder. He's just going to grind you
Yep.
out. But when Gibbs
I
has got
think
the
you
ball in
need
his
to, though.
hands,
I think
yes,
you need to have that compliment in today's NFL. You can't just have that bell cow. I'd say Derrick Henry, he's like a unicorn in the NFL at this point because he's the only one on the field a lot of the time. It doesn't happen anymore. Saquon Barkley, he's even spelled a little bit by Gainwell. But yeah, there's not many players that just take the ball over and over and over like we have seen in the past. Like Adrian Peterson's won't exist anymore. It's just not a thing.
yeah, I agree with you. I think Saquon's close to like being your bell cow. And there's a definite drop off when he's off the field. But I agree with you in that Derrick Henry too is, and it's also just the longevity of David Henry being that bell cow is like kind of unheard of in this day and
Yeah.
age. And even back in the day, you still had running backs who, once they hit their 30s, that 30, literally 30, that's when they start kind of falling off. Derrick Henry's been getting, you know, 300 plus carries a year for ever, I feel like. And he's just still looks good as when he did what he had like 1900 yards this year. That's insane. He's got to be getting up there in the top rushing leaders.
Derrick Henry, at this point, he has 11,000 yards, 11,423. He is 19th on the all time rushing list.
Yeah, because he had a 2000 yard season. I mean, to get up there, you're gonna have to have longevity, which is just very hard in this day and age. But it just takes a freak athlete, and I mean, he's built different. I mean, Saquon's different too. But like, even look at like Christian McCaffrey. He looked like when he's on, he looks like an animal. But he's had some troublesome injuries that you might look at those and be like, the wheels might have already fallen off, which will be unfortunate.
Yeah, that would suck.
Which I mean, to be honest, if he has another season in the 1400 ish, because I think Barry, I don't know if Adrian Pearson's ahead of Barry. Barry was in second. He might be in third now. I believe he's got like 15 or 1600. He was second to Emmett.
Barry has 1,500. Yeah.
Or sorry, Walter might have been. Barry might be third,
Barry is
and then
fourth.
fourth. Okay, so
Next
is
fifth,
it eight?
Frank
Age?
Gore took three.
Oh, Frank Gore. Yeah, Frank Gore was another person. That dude played for forever. You have a couple players every decade that are just built different. That they have the
Yeah.
longevity at a position that doesn't have longevity.
You know what would be really interesting to see is Frank Gore's son, Frank Gore Jr. It would be great to see him do great in the NFL and just have a ridiculously long career too, just like his father. It would be awesome.
Yeah, is he? He's in. He got drafted, right? Or was he undrafted? Is he on the Bills? Or was he on the?
I know he was on the Bills. Let me
I don't know
look
if he's
that up.
still
Yeah, he is number 20 for the Bills.
nice. I love for the Bills too. I love how James Cook literally when he's out. It's as a Vikings fan, it's just fun to watch because he just literally looks like Dalvin Cook and he runs like Dalvin Cook, and it doesn't look that different. He actually might. I would say this. He might be maybe he's slightly slower, but I think he's got way more power. One of the first things that Dalvin Cook lost as he started getting up in age is he didn't really break too many tackles. You
Uh-huh.
could like when he would run, it was either going to be if he didn't get touched, he might break it, or like he would always get like tripped up, or it was always a little bit of a downside. But James Cook is it's just awesome to see him do good. He's being the little brother of an NFL. Like it's cool to
Yeah.
see them do good, and he's a Bill, so it's awesome.
You know, that's like a common thing with little brothers, just doing better and being more physically gifted is they're just it's because little brothers Christian McCaffrey, for example, Gronkowski, for example, they're all little brothers to somebody,
Yeah.
but growing up, their body was conditioned to get beaten up by your older brothers, which are typically bigger, stronger, so you're just conditioned to go against better athletes half the time.
Hmm.
And it's just like a common thing that run in different people
Yeah.
and like siblings and stuff. I always thought that was pretty cool. There's a lot of examples of it, but CJ Watt,
I think that one's hard though. JJ Watt was perennial. Yeah, and TJ's the youngest.
TJ's
Yeah,
the
because
youngest.
JJ's a monster.
Eli and Peyton Manning,
Yep.
both younger brothers.
Yeah, trying to think what their other brother's name is, but he was the athlete of them. He was actually really good. I think what did he do? He broke his neck or broke his back. Yeah, which is a
Oof.
shame. It would have been talk about like a family, man. You got Peyton and Eli. Peyton ended up getting that second Super Bowl. If Peyton never got that second Super Bowl with the Broncos, who would you have rather have been? Peyton Manning or Eli? That's a good thing because I mean, getting that second Super Bowl, it really wasn't him. It was that defense.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think I
Because
would rather be Eli if I had to choose which one of them, only because to ruin that perfect season by Tom Brady and the Patriots there,
yeah,
it just made it all so much better for him. Because Peyton Manning, his arch nemesis was Tom Brady. For
for forever.
Eli to beat Brady in the Super Bowl when it mattered the most, and to take down his older brother's nemesis,
It was
I think,
poetic. It was
yeah, it's
poetic
you can write stories about that. That'll be all over NFL history books forever.
for sure. And I speaking of the Mannings, I do for some reason I never really liked Peyton Manning when he was playing. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't. And it's like one of the things that I try to that is something that I try to remember across like all sports now is that like I just because I didn't like him, I missed out on like enjoying him. And like now when I look back at like some like the highlights or whatever, like the dude we have never seen a QB like him, and we probably won't ever see a QB like him again. Where he was literally just calling plays on the field. He was an offensive coordinator playing the QB position, which is just it's absolutely asinine to think that a player could have the mental fortitude to be able to run an offense like that. As well as I can't imagine being the offensive coordinator and literally just like I don't know how
You don't have
much
to do anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you're just all right, Payne. Like, what are we doing? Payne,
What
will
do you
you?
want to do? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can you let me know what play we're calling? But
He had the
it was
easiest job in the world. Yeah.
it's just amazing how different of a player he was and how we won't really ever he's like I don't think he's like the best QB ever, but I think he could be in the same argument as like Randy Moss. A lot of people won't say he's the best wide receiver ever. They'll still say Jerry Rice. But Randy Moss, in a different sense compared to Jerry Rice, is Randy Moss changed the game where he was a player that made it so other teams had to change complete styles and he was a game wrecker. And I think that's kind of how Peyton Manning was, where he was just so different than anything the NFL has ever seen. Similar to Moss being 6'4", 6'5", but still ran a 4.3, and he had great hands. You just couldn't cover him. I think the same thing with Peyton Manning was there was never anything like him. So he just completely was so hard to beat. And props to Bill Belichick and the Patriots for beating him so many times definitely in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But it was a shame that I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. It was very hard to play against him. Have you ever seen the play that Peyton Manning, or I think it's Bill Belichick, talks about Ed Reed, where he waited all season to just do that center field role on Peyton Manning and
Yeah,
finally got him and ended up intercepting him? Yeah. So you have to plan all season just to beat Peyton Manning once. You have to literally
exactly.
play all season. Yeah, this way. So he's
That
studied all the film. There is nothing like Jaden Daniels might be that. Have you ever seen the VR headset stuff he's been doing?
oh no.
Jaden Dan. Oh man, look this up when you get bored. But so did Jaden Daniels, as part of his contract with the Washington Commanders, had it in his contract to have a VR headset, and then somebody has to put all the plays in there, and he runs through it every morning. It's his morning routine. He did it at LSU too.
Oh, that's crazy. That's
Um,
cool.
Yeah. He did it at LSU. Some company came up to him and was like, "Hey, we got this new thing. We want to try it out. Would you like to try it?" And he loved it so much that he put it in his contract. So every morning he wakes up, he runs through all the plays at 1.5 times speed. So he sees every play like
That
3 times before you even practice.
that's pretty cool. I do know.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be a game changer in as far as like player training and development is VR, because I do know another instance is this year when JJ McCarthy hurt his knee, that Sam Darnold, Kevin McCarthy asked Sam Darnold Sam if he would be okay in practices wearing a camera on his helmet. So during all of the practices, since JJ McCarthy couldn't practice because of his knee, that JJ McCarthy was able to do VR via Sam Darnold and see what Sam Darnold was seeing in the practices and whatever, and making the throws. So then JJ McCarthy could also do practice reps virtually, which, I mean, that's awesome. And it's awesome that Jaden had the hindsight of like, hey, I want this in my contract, so you guys have to do it for me, and it's just only
Yeah.
going to make him better.
It works. I mean, Sam Darnold did great. JJ McCarthy, there's still a lot to be said about him, but I think it's a good start. It sounds like he's trying to make the effort to be that player that Sam Darnold was this year, but who knows what's going to happen this offseason with him.
Yeah,
It's a
we
tough
will.
decision here, Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we let. I think as far as the Minnesota Vikings, I think we let Sam Darnold walk. I was hoping that he would show up. I mean, the last two games definitely changed some of how I thought. I personally did not want to really bring him back, just because I think our main goal and our philosophy that we're trying to implement is have a rookie QB on a rookie contract, or just have a QB on a rookie contract, because that allows you to create such a good surrounding cast and to really see, well, one, to try to win a Super Bowl, because you can create such a good team, and if that QB pans out, you have a really good team around them.
Similar to like the Houston Texans right now with CJ
Yeah,
Stroud is still a rookie deal. They were able to go out and sign Stephon Diggs this year and make a bunch of other free agent splashes and Joe Mixon, a few other defensive players, and they built a team around him. Now, when they come to pay him, he's going to want a lot of money, though. Are they going to have that kind of money to actually keep those players around him?
yeah, and that's what I think. I'm hoping that we can do, and by not bringing Sam Darnold back, we can make sure that JJ McCarthy, one, we see if he can be that QB,
Yeah.
but then also we do have the resources around to help his development, because I do think it's important to get him developed correctly, and that being able to get those players around him. That's also like, I think you can see it happening in the NFL too. Like, I mean, Jordan Love is a good example. He sat, which is probably is behind a very good quarterback, so that's good for development in my book. But also, did he sit too long? In the sense that now you do not have the advantage of that rookie contract. You have him at like 55 million or something, right?
Yeah.
So that really eats
That's
into it. And like Joe Burrow is an example too. Joe Burrow, they went to the Super Bowl when he was still on his rookie contract, but now he's making a lot of money, and that's going to start. It starts to erode away at your team, or even like Trevor Lawrence, they paid him, Josh Allen, but you can just see how, I think one outlier might be the Philadelphia Eagles, where they have an amazing roster, and they're still paying Jalen pretty good, but they're not paying him astronomically like top dollar.
uh
But they have a roster, and that's one they're very good at. They've been very good at hitting on players in the draft.
there are those two past drafts for the Philadelphia Eagles
Amazing.
between all the secondary. Yeah, their drafts the past 2 years have been incredible. They've replaced almost their entire defense from the past Super Bowl. I think Darius Slay is there, and two
Yeah.
other players. I think
And then,
that it's like a whole new team.
yeah, and if you hit on the draft, doesn't matter if you have a QB with the highest paid contract. If you're hitting in the draft, like you're hitting the draft, you got players that are young and on low deals, and if as long as you can keep hitting, just keep going at it. And why not? And then sign your superstars. And when you do have someone who is absolutely amazing, make sure you pay them. But I think, coming back to the Vikings, I think it'll be an interesting year. I think we'll be good. I think we might have been a little bit. We might have been more of like a 10-win team this year, but we got 14 wins. I think, but I think Brian Flores coming back is going to be good. We do. have a very old defense and a lot of players that were losing that were on like 1 year or whatnot, especially in the secondary and everything. So I think, and we
Well,
do not have a lot of draft picks this year, so it
well,
will be interesting. We got them if we don't do many huge trades to stockpile more draft picks. It will be important to make sure we hit on those draft picks. So it'll be interesting transition year. I'm excited to see finally, hopefully, if we could have hit on a QB of the future. It'll be interesting.
when's the last time they took a rookie QB? It had to have been like Christian Ponder, I think.
Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy. Yeah,
Always a good old
we've
Teddy.
we've never actually we were so we traded up to number 10 to get JJ from 11 to 10, but we did that. We were the only team to have never drafted a QB in the top 10.
Really?
The other team was, and still technically is the Denver Broncos, but it was because of the John Elway, the whole draft with John Elway, where he was like technically not, because he said he was going to go to baseball or something, but he was a number one overall pick. But he threatened, I think he was a number overall pick by the Bucks, and but then threatened to go to the MLB, and then he ended up either re-entering the draft the next year, even though he was going to play MLB, or it was something weird like that. But the Vikings were the only, and the Broncos, I guess, if you want to count them, but they got John Elway.
Yeah, so
Uh,
John Elway, who was drafted by the Baltimore Colts
oh,
in
Baltimore Colts, okay.
1983. Yep. And then he was
Number one
traded to the
overall, right?
Broncos, first overall pick.
Yeah. So then he was traded, never played for them, and he was traded to the Broncos. So the Broncos technically didn't, but they technically drafted. Uh, that was because Elway was like, "I'm not playing for you guys."
Yeah. I mean, he was also drafted by the Yankees, too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that dude had probably the strongest. It was either probably him or Brett Favre, the strongest arm in the NFL history. Just an absolute
Yeah.
rifle.
Yeah, he was a beast. Well, how much do the Vikings have in salary cap this year? Do they have any room to play around in free agency, or what's going on there?
Yeah, the Vikings have I believe it's the fifth highest salary cap. So we do have, I think it's in the high 60s million. So I think there are some players I think that we should resign. I think if we resign a couple of the players, and there's a couple of players that we could possibly move on. It depends on who we're going to target. I would love to target either whoever the number one guard is, if it's Trey Smith from the Chiefs, who might get franchised by the Chiefs, who knows, or if it's one of the other guards. I would love to get a guard. The Vikings
Uh,
allowed the most pressures in the NFL up the
oh
middle.
wow,
Yeah, up the middle. We had the most interior pressure. So that's like our guards and our center were bad. I think the Vikings have a top two, top three tackle combination between Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw did tear his ACL against the Rams.
I think
And
he's a free agent this year too, right?
Darrisaw, no, we
Oh,
just
okay,
resigned him.
I'm wrong. Oh, that might be why.
Yeah, he
But
was
the
going.
Vikings,
It was coming to his last year.
yeah, they have 58,000 in cap space actually, so they got some room to spend.
58,000, 58 million.
Or 50, yeah, 15 million.
Yeah. So
58,000 you'd buy.
yeah,
You could buy a car.
yeah. So I think if we so I think we'll probably end up around like high 30s, low 40s once we resign some of the players that are leaving and let other ones walk.
They're very
Uh
low in dead cap, so that's good.
yeah, we were
That's a big.
this was the last year of getting Kirk off the books. Limited us a little bit. But I do think, I mean, I would love to go after a guard heavy, and I would be happy with getting two guards, to be in all honesty. I don't think there's much centers in free agency. And then going after just some defensive backs, we're gonna be real low on corner. And then we're depending if we resign Cam Bynum, as well as if Harrison Smith retires, we theoretically could use another, probably like more so of like a free safety who could play,
I don't
your
know.
deep zones. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, but I think Definitely, I'm hoping for guard and then some defensive help. It would be interesting to see how the running backs free agency goes, but I think I in the draft, even though we have limited draft picks, we got to draft at least. I'd be happy with drafting two running backs, to be honest, but I think we don't
Yeah,
have enough draft
you
picks to
got to
do
get
that.
one at least.
But we have to get one. I'd love to bring Aaron Jones back still. And I'd love to get someone. If we got Aaron Jones, I'd love to get like it'll be interesting just because the running back draft is or running backs in the draft are so loaded. Like you're going to be able to get running backs in the fifth round that would usually be second and third rounders. I feel like this year. So, but we'll get into the draft more so in a later episode.
Yeah, we can do that.
What about the Packers? How do you see it next year? And then what about cap space, free
I mean,
agency?
they're good in like both. This is the first time Packers have actually had some money to play with, except for last year we kind of spent a little bit. It really tightened them up on the cap space though. There wasn't
Okay.
much room to spend, but they still went out. They got Josh Jacobs, they got Xavier McKinney, and those two have done wonders for this team.
Yeah,
And so this season we actually have a little bit more, which is very exciting to see.
that's good.
Yep. So hopefully they can make some sort of splash. But this year is actually the last year of David Bakhtiari's contract on the
Oh,
Packers.
mm,
So we'll have that off the books for 2025, which is
hmm.
going to be huge. Has been lingering for a long time since probably 2020. I think he signed
Is he fully retired
2019.
now? He's not playing, right?
He hasn't played in a long time, yeah.
And he was
But
amazing.
he's
He
still
was
on the
amazing.
books. He
He
was
was amazing.
amazing. He was top 3 left tackle. When he
I mean, at
played,
one point he was
he
number one.
yeah. At one point he was number 1. I was trying to be modest,
No,
but
yeah,
he
there was at
was
least one season where he was the number one. He was amazing.
yes.
He was great for a decent amount of time. It's just injuries caught up to him.
It's just the same injury is the worst part too.
Hmm.
He just messed up his knee. It's one ACL tear and he's had problems with it ever since. So there was I think it was 2021. He came back, he played like half a season, but every game he got his knee drained of
Oh,
like fluids and stuff. Literally every game. It was terrible. And then he's been on and off depending on the swelling and
mm,
he was questionable for practice for like 3 years. Nobody knew if he was going to play. And he would play a game, he would sit a game, he would play a game, he would sit a game. He was infuriating to watch because of that. And it's like he was great when he was on the field, but he's on a lot of painkillers. I felt bad for the guy
yeah.
because he was a great player, but he was just trying to get through it, and it's unfortunate that happened to him because he could have been there for a lot longer.
That is unfortunate too. What's even worse is that probably shortened his career. Him playing every week, and
Yep.
it's even more unfortunate that like it didn't end up in like a Super Bowl win. It would have been all worth it if it
Yep.
ended with a win in the Super Bowl or even in an appearance, but definitely like in a win, it's all worth it. And it just sucks that it ended all being for naught. But I mean, that's
Yeah.
hindsight. That's hindsight 2020. You know, that's always going to be the case. But it's just a shame that it could have been
Yep.
that much better.
He could have been there for all of it, and it's unfortunate because he was a great player. I loved watching him too. He's a funny ass guy. I don't know if you've ever listened to him. He reminds me a
Yeah, I've
lot
seen
of
him.
like Chris Long. Yeah, he's just a
But,
dude. Like I don't know. He's just a guy.
yeah. Well, there used to be videos too. Wouldn't he be at like hockey games or whatever? He just chug beers. I loved it.
Yeah, he would just chug his beers at like I think it was basketball and hockey games. Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd just chug it as fast as he could, and then it showed Aaron Rodgers trying to do it once and keeping up with him. That was pathetic.
Yeah. No, he ain't keeping up with
He
Dave.
like didn't even finish it. Yeah, but he was a good player. I miss watching him. He's off the books finally. They have some money to spend, like I mentioned. So we'll see. It's the youngest team in the NFL, so they're
Hmm.
all lots of rookie contracts. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Christian Watson is probably gone this year.
I
This
was
was
gonna.
his last year.
I was gonna say it sucks, but it's. I don't even know if there's a wide receiver in the draft, or I mean, dude, if you got the money, T Higgins would be.
We do
And
got the money for
yeah,
him,
the Packers don't
but
do things like that though, too.
No,
which is
they
so
don't.
dumb.
They go for the players that have had 1 year removed of like a great season, like Josh Jacobs, like
Yeah,
Xavier McKee, like Charles Woodson back in the day, like Reggie White coming off of one bad season. They get the players that are just on a small discount,
yeah,
and then they'll make the most out of it. But they won't get the top name in free agency, which is T. Higgins. I don't see him signing that. And plus, they the Packers look for wide receivers that have a ridiculous RAS score.
yeah.
I don't know where T. Higgins lies on that scale, but you have to be ridiculously fast, tall, all of those intangibles that you literally can't teach.
Hmm.
You have to be a Packers wide receiver. And if Christian Watson is gone, they need a deep threat to replace him. I think they're going to go after somebody in the draft, one of those speedsters that just takes the top off of a defense. That's how we'll replace him, and then hopefully sign like Amari Cooper or somebody. Because I just think there needs to be some sort of veteran presence in that locker room. It's just too young, and it showed a lot this season.
Yeah, I think it showed a lot, and I think it showed in like high pressure games.
Yes.
It's like when there wasn't a lot of pressure, I think it you guys were fine. But when the pressure turned up, it just showed lack of experience really in those games where there might be drops or there might be
Yeah.
just miscues, and it showed up just the lack of experience. And I think if you get like a veteran like an Amari Cooper or someone who could be like just a stabilizer, I think that could be great. I mean, heck, someone coming off a down season. I mean, what if Tyreek Hill was like, "Hey, I want to get out of Miami. There's your deep threat." Yeah,
That would be. I never thought of that.
I
I
don't know
mean,
how
he
good
kind
of an
he,
influence he is,
yeah.
but
I mean,
that's
in Green Bay, there's nothing to do
yeah, I know.
besides
He probably wouldn't want to come to Green Bay, but
no. I think he wants to stay in Miami. That's why he signed there, actually, because they didn't have the income tax.
yeah, yeah, it'll be. But also, like, what about corners? Like Jair is good when he's healthy, kind of, but he's like, is he ever fully healthy? Has he played a full
No,
year lately?
never. No.
Yeah.
I would love to see. I want them to re-sign Jair, but
Okay.
I don't think they will because of what he would cost. That is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
He's just going to cost too much. They don't re-sign players very often. Actually, they sign maybe one contract for most people. Kenny Clark was one of the only players that I remember to get a third contract.
Yeah.
They signed the
Well, and
rookie
he's like
deal.
he's darn good.
Yeah, he's great, but I don't remember the last one that signed three contracts.
And you know what? Coming off of this is non-Vikings because if I'm a Vikings fan, I actually am fine with them re-signing Jair because I think if you re-sign him, he's going to get paid probably top corner, but he misses so much games that like it takes away from other people you could sign. And I think just
Yep.
as a non-fan, I think it's unfortunate, but I think his availability is you can't pay him if you're Packers GM, you're making the decisions. You can't pay him top dollar, and he's going to want top dollar. But you just because of the availability concerns, you're better off trying to get a couple veterans, and then you can you can get a third, fourth round corner that's good. Just pick if you're high on RAS, pick a high RAS, and try to teach them some of the mechanics or the. I feel like a lot of times when you get a late round corner that's like a big body and he's a decent corner is he might be he's got stiff hips or something that he can't he's only a boundary he's never going to be able to cover those fast twitchy guys. That's fine. Those fast twitchy guys
I mean,
are cheaper in free agency, so go get one of your fast twitchy slot corners, pick up
yeah.
some of your big body late round corners that you could just throw them out there. And
Do you remember Sam Shields?
yeah,
He was fast as fuck, man.
I
He was the top three corner in the league when he was playing and at the top of his league there. He was incredible.
yeah, I think because I think when he came out, he just didn't know how to like play corner. And like even when he first started, he wasn't that good, but then he like got good.
Yeah, he was undrafted. You were right.
Yeah, because I remember it wasn't. It was because he just lacked. He had all the athleticism. It was just he just didn't have the techniques. With guys like that, take your swings.
I mean, he also played wide receiver for a bit in college too, and then they converted him to cornerback. That was a big thing. It was his first time playing corner in the NFL.
Oh well, yeah, that'll make you go undrafted.
To kind of go along the same veins here, what do you think Travis Hunter is going to do?
I think he is possibly a better corner than he is. If I am a GM, I'm gonna try to ask him to play corner, do like a Dion role, play corner, and you could play wide receiver. You know, you'll get 10 to 15 snaps at wide receiver a game, but we need you be corner because I think he could be like a lockdown corner. If I'm Travis Hunter, I'm not trying to be, play both ways. You're not going to be able to do that. I don't think you're going to be able to be a starting corner and a starting wide receiver in the NFL. That's just,
I think that's what he wants, though. I think pretty sure that he's
but the cardio you would have, you would not have the be able to. I believe you would not be able to have the physicality. You would not be able to have the. You would just have. You would be too much cardio based to have the strength. Like it just wouldn't jive unless you're on something. But if I'm him and I have to choose, I'm choosing wide receiver because there's more money. If you're a top wide receiver, you're getting paid. If you're a top corner, you're still getting paid, but you're not. I mean, there's like $10 million difference a year, and if you sign a 5-year contract, that's 50 million you're missing out on.
that's a big contract.
Yeah,
Yep. He wants to play both wide receiver and corner,
which then
which
I'm pushing him. You'll be our starting corner. You get 10, 15. You just be like Dion. You'll play 10 snaps, and we'll try to get you the ball on at least half of them. If not, you're
uh-huh.
going to be helping the team because everyone's going to be focused on you. If a team can convince him to do that, he will be one of the biggest weapons because I think he could be a very good NFL corner, and I think he could be a very good wide receiver in the sense if he's doing like 10, 15 reps, getting the ball, try to get him the ball 4 or 5 times a game at least. I think, he's going to make plays. And I think that's, he's either going to make plays or he's going to let other people make plays just when he's on the field because he's going to, draw attention. That's if, he lives up to the hype. Obviously, that's best case scenario
Yeah. I
because
mean,
you
there's
could,
still a lot of question marks, but I mean, he's a great player. I can say that for 100% certainty. It's just the fact of, is he gonna produce like he did in college? So we'll see. It'll be interesting come this draft because he could very well go number one overall. Like the Titans have the number one first pick, I believe, and
yep,
they need both a wide receiver and a corner
yep. And they need a QB. But I do
and a
think
QB.
uh, if I'm the Titans, I'm not in love with the QBs in this draft. So I am like I think so JJ McCarthy was picked like what was he, the fifth quarterback, I think, right?
Yeah, he was up
Uh
there a little bit.
but if JJ I'm and I've looked, a lot of analysts have said even though he's the fifth quarterback, if he was in this draft, he would be number one. And that's just that, but that's just in a sense of last year's draft had a boatload of really good QBs,
Yeah,
whereas this draft has like Shadur
not
Sanders,
much.
he's still a project. Like all the QBs, none of the QBs are amazing. It's similar to the draft of when you had Geno Smith and like was it an EJ Manuel, where EJ Manuel is the
Uh-huh.
only QB. I think there will be more than one QB drafted in the first round this year, and that's just because of how QB needy teams are. But I
Agreed.
don't know if there really is more than two QBs that are worth a first round pick, and they're not worth top, but they probably will go top just because a lot of times your teams that are. But if I'm the Titans, I'm taking Travis Hunter.
So targets this year, I don't know if the Packers are targeting anybody. It's got to be some cornerback. That's their biggest need. I still see them just drafting a really fast wide receiver to replace Christian Watson. I think he's part of the Packers offense. They've always had some sort of deep threat like him, some just really fucking fast guy that can just take the top off of defense, whether it be Valdez Scantling was the man for a long time. Jordy Nelson was there. He was just so fucking fast forever.
Yeah,
Randall Cobb was a great compliment to him. Javon Walker and Greg Jennings before him. They always have somebody that can just take off and take it to the house. So I think they're going to lack that without Christian Watson this year. I'm hoping they can get it through the draft. They might just go after somebody in free agency. Let's take a look at some of the free agent wide receivers this year and find out. I know there's T. Higgins is a big one. There's Stephon Diggs, it looks like. He's kind of older. I don't know if the Packers would really go for him. Keenan Allen, also a free agent. Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin. I don't see him going after any of these guys, really. Maybe Marquise
Yeah,
Brown. Yeah, there's none of those players that really fit that role. Maybe Elijah Moore, maybe. It's not often they sign one of the older wide receivers, too. Brandon Cooks, he would fit that role, but he's also 31 this year. But you never know. He
yeah.
could still have it in him.
T. Higgins, you're not getting anything really amazing.
It's players out of their prime behind T. Higgins.
Hmm.
It's pretty much it. There's Deontay Johnson is probably the best one, and who knows with him? He's kind of a hothead.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, and then there's like Darius Slayton and Marquise Brown. Other than that, it's probably like all wide receiver 3 or 4s. There's nobody that would really take over the starting role in one of these offenses. But you never know. I've been surprised before. They could do things that nobody sees coming. Tyreek Hill, like we said there, that's possible.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, the Dolphins there, they're not doing too well, so they could be in rebuilding mode, looking to vamp up that defense, get somebody really, really fast in there again, maybe get a little bit younger.
Hmm.
Last season was just not their season. It could be because Tua was hurt. That was a big factor. They did not have much an offense without him. And even when he did come back, it's like that offense just wasn't the same as we saw it the season before. It was, I'm not sure what changed, but they didn't have the explosive plays that we were used to seeing at all.
I think signing Tua to a long term deal, I just don't. I actually think it's going to be what's their coach's name? I think,
McDaniels.
yeah, McDaniel. I think probably going to be his head coaching ender. I think he's not going to be able to play a full season. He's just so concussion prone. I think he's gonna. I wish he would have. I wish he would retire. To be honest, I think he's going to probably get another concussion next year.
Yeah, he's got a cap of 39 million next year, so
Yeah, I think he just doesn't. That's a really high amount of money for not an elite QB. He's very accurate. He can touch the ball up, but he doesn't got the strong arm. He's just hurt too much, and I feel bad for
yeah.
him because he's just when he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out, and it's pretty scary.
Feel like they don't have any of those rookies that have done well for like the Rams. They had rookies step up this season. The
Hmm.
Eagles have rookies step up this season. They're still very early in their draft process for a lot of these players. They do have a pretty young team here, but like Bradley Chubb, he's not the player that they expect him to be, and he's making
Yeah.
$28 million this year. Tyreek Hill, 27.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey, he's pretty good still, but he's making 16 million this year.
Yeah, he's probably
It's
making too
just
much
yeah,
at
there's
the
a lot of
age
these
of his career.
players that are they worth it anymore? Are they really worth
Yeah,
it? I mean, they got Raheem Mostert on a discount though. He's only making 3 million this year, so
yeah.
a lot of their players are. They got Achan who's still on his rookie deal too.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone always gets hurt in Miami. Tyreek was hurt. Wasn't
Yeah,
Achan hurt for a little bit? Mostert was
they,
hurt. Tua,
yeah, they all
obviously.
yeah, and
Their a lot of their offensive weapons got hurt. It's just like,
yeah, Jalen Waddle. He's like you flip a coin, heads or tails, and he's going to be hurt one game and he plays the next. You never know with him.
yeah, yeah. Well, because you know what it is they got monster speed in Miami, but
Uh huh.
that speed comes with fragility and also just small bodies, and those small
Hmm.
bodies in a big man's league can get hurt. And it's last year just wasn't their year for trying to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean that just happens in today's NFL. Look at Detroit this year. Detroit, they had
Yeah,
an incredible team, and then the last few weeks of the season, people were just dropping like flies left and right. They lost David Montgomery. He ended up coming back for the playoffs, I think, for one
hmm,
game. I don't know, man. They lost like their entire defensive line. There was
yeah.
a ton of people out there.
It would have
But
been
yeah,
fun to see them at full health in the playoffs, or at least closer to full health. But also,
Yeah,
even the way it was, it would have been a fun game to see them versus the Eagles. Just two amazing running teams facing off against each other. It would have been. I think it would have been a closer game than
I
what
think
we
it would
ended
have
up
been
with.
a different game than what we're used to seeing. It's usually everybody says it's a passing league now. To see
Yeah,
two teams run the ball down each other's throats would have been a big change of pace from what everybody's used to seeing, and it would have been cool to see. It's like the olden days when they used to just run the ball. They used to pass it not nearly as much as they threw it. Now it's just chuck it down the field and hope for a big play. If not a big play, then you're getting a pass interference and you're still
yeah,
moving
right.
40 yards.
That's the name of the game. Hey, it's offense sells, baby.
Roger Goodell is going to find people and make money and just try to get the numbers up. That's what it is for pretty much everything nowadays. But if it's not making money, then it's not going to work.
100%.
Want to dive into some of the best performances of the year this year?
For sure, yeah. I think, we had some really good rookie performances, I think, especially QBs. You had Jaden Daniels. He played amazingly. Big surprise just for me because I just didn't think he was actually that good, but I thought he played like it was Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I thought, played pretty darn good, better than I thought he was going to be. I knew
Yes.
I did have a feeling that he would have a higher floor than a lot of the QBs, just because he had so much experience in college. Maybe a lower ceiling, but he played darn good. I feel like, and he just
Yeah,
really he shined.
I'd
And
agree.
then
Bo Nix was incredible this year. Like nobody saw him coming in and making all the plays that he did. Just stat wise, he's up there just with Jaden Daniels, who's probably gonna win rookie. Did he win rookie of the year?
I think it. I don't know if it's this weekend or it's next weekend. It's something. Yeah, I don't think there's a doubt that he could. He's got to win. I mean, the only one I think that might be able to is Brock Bowers, who was amazing this year.
Yes.
I think one. I think he's an amazing as long as he stays healthy, because I know that's like a little bit of a worry with him. But he's amazing. But I think it does help that the Raiders have like no other weapons. So it's him, but he's amazing. He was amazing in college. I loved him in college. But it's a QB driven league, and I think there's no way Jaden Daniels can't. I mean, it's Jaden Daniels. He's gonna win it in my book.
Yeah, it's got to be him or Brock Bowers. I mean, Jared Verse had a great season for the Rams there.
Yeah, I
Got
think he's probably gonna win defensive rookie.
yeah,
I think
yep,
he just really took over. I mean, there was a lot of good rookies this year. I feel like he was a game wrecker. He was amazing this year. He might not have always put up like the stats, but he was a game wrecker. Like he was just would put up pressures. He would set up other players. He was amazing. Probably the best defensive. Well, I would think the best defensive rookie, but also just by far the best like defensive lineman rookie.
he had 76 pressures this year, only
Yeah,
behind
it's
Miles
insane.
Garrett, Daniil Hunter, and Trey Hendrickson, who are
Yeah,
all incredible players.
yeah.
I mean, Miles
He's
Garrett, former Defensive Player of the Year, and then the two other ones, Daniil Hunter and Trey Hendrickson, they've been around for a while, and they've been doing great.
Yeah, and then you got like Brian Thomas Jr. for Jacksonville. He played
Yep.
really well. He was a little streaky, I feel like, but hey, I mean, he was on Jacksonville, but he played better than a lot of the other guys that were drafted ahead of him. And
Malik Neighbors is up there too. You can kind of argue him. He definitely
yeah,
did better than Marvin Harrison Jr. there.
yeah, I mean, I would say yeah, he did better than Marvin Harrison, and then even I mean, Lad McConkey. I mean, he probably was better than Lad McConkey, but Lad McConkey was a gangster. I feel like for the
Yeah,
Chargers, he was pretty
he
good.
was
He
great.
was like
He was
out of
freaking
nowhere.
great. Yeah,
He was out of nowhere.
he was
And
great this year. I loved watching him, little lad. Yeah,
he was very good after the catch, but he just had amazing route running for a rookie. He was good. And it was cool to see, you know, not a very like highly drafted player just like be awesome. Those are always good stories. And he was just, and he's got a great name, Lad
He
McConkey. Come on,
really does.
I cannot love it.
Yeah, he had 82 catches this year for 1,149 yards and 7 touchdowns. That was no fluke of a season. He did pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's he's
Had him, yeah, Bo Nix. He ended up with 28 touchdowns on the season and 3,000 yards and a 103 passer rating as a rookie. Nobody
yeah, that's
does that
crazy.
nowadays.
It's interesting. And then I mean those are just the rookies, and then Jared Goff had a really great year. Kind of, he had those two bad games. One they won against the Texans in the regular season, and then his other bad game was against in the playoffs against the Commanders, which is unfortunate. But he had a great. I mean, Saquon, Derrick Henry, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Josh Jacobs bringing life back to the running back position, like just totally taking over. It's great to see, especially with Saquon and Derek. Saquon going over 2,000 and then Derek going over 1,900. Like that's, I actually feel like that's got to be the first time that they've ever had two running backs have 2009, two running backs over 19, because there's only been a couple over 19. I'm not a couple, but there's only been a handful, two handfuls, I should say. But that's
It's
awesome
it's
to see.
it's an amazing accomplishment. I'm happy for all the running backs of the free agent class this year that everybody was undervaluing, like Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon.
Yeah, they all did amazing.
Yeah, they lit it up this year, and it was great to see. I'm hoping that this year that'll add some more value to the running back position, as it's been slightly undervalued, I feel like, only because they haven't paid these players. They are worth it. Saquon Barkley, worth every penny. Derrick Henry, worth every penny. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I do. The only thing I do think that could be a semi game changer is there isn't like at least in this draft. I mean, there's like Gianti, who's really really good, and then there's like the two guys from Ohio State, Henderson, and I'm forgetting the other one's name. But they maybe not like a super like blue chip top 10, top 5 pick, but this year's running back class is absolutely, it's got to be one of the most loaded running back classes like in history, where
Really,
you got yeah, oh yeah, you got like 10 running backs that in any other year they would probably be drafted before round 3, and just because of how many good running backs there are, you're going to be able to draft a running back in the 5th round that usually you would have had to draft in the 3rd or 4th.
yeah. Somebody's getting a steal.
Yeah, and that's why like I wish the Vikings had more draft picks, because I would love to take two, but we definitely have to get one. And I think it'll just be interesting. And there's so many different styles of running backs in this draft, but there's just so many good running backs, and I think it's going to be really fun to see the rookies next year. I think it's going to be a very fun class, because I think a running back is going to win Rookie of the Year next year.
Really, a running back
Yeah,
is gonna.
it's a bold prediction. Not really that bold, but
That's yeah.
next year.
And you never know. It is a down quarterback class, like you said. So it's we got a ways to go ahead of that still. Sticking on to this year still, I would say my performance of the year would have to be one of Joe Burrow's games towards
Oh
late in the
yeah.
season. Joe Burrow here. Joe Burrow put up 5 touchdowns twice this season versus the Raiders and versus the Ravens in a big game.
If they had made the playoffs, Joe Burrow would have been in the MVP conversation. That's how good of a year he has. It's just
Yeah,
they had absolutely no defense.
he
They
had
just they couldn't keep up with the amount of points their defense was letting up. Unfortunately.
It's unfortunate too. He had a great season. 4,918 yards, almost broke the 5,000 yard.
Oh,
43 touchdowns, 9
jeez,
picks, with a
jeez.
108 quarterback rating.
Oh my gosh. See, yeah, that's MVP numbers. It's just it
Yeah,
sucks that their defense literally was a sieve, and just you could score on them at will.
they need to make some changes at that defensive.
Devote my draft to defense, defense, defense. I have a hard time pinpointing on defensive players from this year that were like amazing or great is I feel like this was a weird year in the sense that we didn't really have like I feel like a lot of years you had like a defensive player just pop or stand out.
Yeah,
Like I really don't think there was like a super high amount of sacks by anyone. I we did have a good amount of picks, which is very well could be who gets the defensive player of the year. The was it McKinley from
Adrian
the
McKinley.
Packers,
Yeah,
and then I think was it Kirby from the Lions also had a good amount of picks. I hate Kirby though; he's a dirty player.
yeah, he's the one that goes after knees. He's the
Yeah, it's horrible.
capper. Miles Garrett is always a great player. T.J.
Yeah,
Watt the same. Yeah, so there's him. There's Edgerrin Cooper for the Packers. He was a standout player this year for
yeah,
us towards
he
the
was
later
very
half of
good.
the season. Yep, he played very well. He didn't play the first half, but he came in and started making plays. But I'd say Miles Garrett. I mean, gotta be like he's got to be up there this season. I don't know who else would really compete. Maybe Max Crosby from the Raiders. He was pretty good.
Did he get hurt though?
I don't remember if he was hurt or not.
He might have gotten hurt. I don't know though. Maybe not. Yeah, and then you got I mean Jamar Chase had a monster year.
Oh, that's
Um
true. Jamar Chase, he was breaking all sorts of records this year.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
I mean
him
like
and Bro, they're just
yep.
a 1-2 combo there.
And then to circle back, like Brock Bowers had an absolutely amazing year just for a tight end in general, let alone a
Yep.
rookie tight end. Yeah, he was very good. I mean obviously like Josh Allen had an amazing year. One man wrecking crew, same with Lamar Jackson. It was an interesting year.
Different. It was a different year defensively. Yeah, I was trying to look up some stats, but nobody really pops out here. I guess you could argue Nick Bolton in that Chiefs defense was incredible. He's always very good though. Um,
Yeah, their defense is scary good.
Trent McDuffie there for the Chiefs as well. He's a good corner. We'll see how he does versus AJ Brown though, because I think AJ Brown can manhandle pretty much anybody. He's like just that
Yeah,
big of a player.
yeah,
So we'll
it'll
see.
be interesting.
Have you ever seen the videos of when AJ Brown like hit sticks people or people try to hit him and they more so just bounce off of him than anything?
Yeah, yeah, he's such a big body. He's just
He's
so like
so
he's a man.
yep. He hurt somebody by trying to catch the ball and they ran into him and fell over and like
Hmm.
hurt their shoulder.
Yeah.
They and Devonte Smith, I think they complement each other very well because they're two completely different types of players.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
AJ Brown, he's
Yeah.
the big receiver, can
Hmm.
just take you out and
Great.
run over you if needed. But Devonte Smith, he's more of like a shiftier player, and he'll kind of work his way around you. And he's got long ass arms. He's fast as hell. And,
Hmm.
he's a big catch radius.
Yeah, they're like opposites, but also the same in the sense that like
Yeah,
they're very good at catching the ball. They're both very good route runners. It's just one's beating you with physicality, and the other one's beating you with speed. And it makes it for. I mean,
right.
that offense is potent, man. That offense is potent. That's why that's gonna be a good matchup.
Yeah, that's one of the matchups I want to watch in the Super Bowl is AJ Brown and Devonte Smith versus this Chiefs secondary to see who can kind of take over and who will win those battles. Or
Mm,
with how it's been lately, they won't even pass the ball. They're just going to hand it off to Barkley and
yeah,
him run wild.
yeah. Why not? I mean, he's playing like it.
Super Bowl is coming up here.
Who's playing in it again? I'm joking. Yeah, it'll be. I think it's interesting. I think Casey's defense. I think it's going to be come down to Casey's defense versus the Eagles' offense. I think if the Eagles' offense wins that, I think they can just outscore Casey. But because I think the Eagles' offense is probably one of the most complete offenses. But I also think that Casey's defense is probably one of the best in the NFL. And I think the Eagles will be able to stop Casey on some drives, but Casey's still got Patrick Mahomes. They're still going to get theirs. So I think it's going to come down to that matchup of how much can KC's defense slow down the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's what's going to come down to. I am rooting. I can't even believe I'm saying this because I hate them, but I am rooting for the Eagles. I don't know why I have this. It's probably because like the Zebras are on their side, but I have this horrible feeling that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. I think it'll be similar to the. It could be very well come down to similar to their first game, where it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then what happened? The Zebras got involved, and they called a pass interference, and then KC kicked the field goal to win it all. It's
Yeah.
just like the
I
first one.
could see that happening.
It always comes down to the refs when you're facing Kansas City. Some for some reason, it's not intentional at all. It's just they always get them, but it's not intentional at all. But they always get them.
They do always get them. Another matchup to watch will be Travis Kelsey versus the Eagles defense here and Zach Bond. Zach Bond, he's come in this season. He's done very well for them.
He's been playing darn good.
Yeah, Zach Bond, he's a name I hadn't really heard of until this season. And you know what? He could come in, and if he plays like he has been, he might be one of the only things that can stop Travis Kelsey. We said a few weeks ago how we thought Kelsey was done. We thought it was over. And then he goes out and proves us wrong.
I
he
know.
lit he lit up the Bills, and
I think
who knows?
he's been getting some more kisses from Taylor Swift. He's been going off.
Yeah. He wants some endorsements, yeah.
Yeah,
A three-peat.
I do. I do think if they win, I still think there's a good. I think there's a good chance that he retires. He's like 35. Yeah, he's going to propose to Taylor Swift. He's
Yep.
going to get. He's probably he might get MVP or he's going to be holding the trophy. Hands the trophy to for Taylor will be on the field. Come on now, he hands
Yeah,
the
she's
trophy.
gonna be there on the
Yeah, he
field.
hands the trophy to Taylor, and then he gets on one knee,
Yeah.
proposes. I mean,
Like, yeah,
that's how it's got to go. I mean, are you kidding me?
that's the script.
Josh Allen, fourth down. I do not know how where you had a ref running down and he was clearly first down, and then you had the other ref who wasn't a first down. They took the ref that wasn't a first down, and then on replay, it looked like he only had to get to I don't know if it was the 40 or whatever, but he had to get to a white line for it to be a first down. It looked like he got to the white line.
It
Yet
was questionable.
they still said it wasn't and going into the game, they talked about the refs for KC, and that was a game-changing play because then
Mm,
KC drove down and scored a touchdown. That
yep.
play that was a first down, man. I personally am not against that when he threw the interception and then they reviewed it where it was like spun or not the reception and they ruled it a reception,
Yep.
but it was spontaneous. So you always give that to the offense. And then when the ball, they were trying to see if the ball hit the ground. When it hit the ground, it wasn't moving and it didn't move after. So I'm fine with that. I thought that was an okay call. Whether you're okay with the initial call of it was it an interception or reception, that's different. It still looked like that the guy probably intercepted it, but as he was going down, the Kansas City guy got equal possession with him. If that happens, it's always going to go to the offense. I'm fine with that, but that fourth down call, I am ashamed of the NFL that
Yeah.
they that it was okay and they thought that every single person watching that game would be okay with that call. It was
Did
wild. And you have the announcers.
mm-hmm.
I think Tony Romo might have been like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And then the other guy, and then I think it was either Dean Blandino or the other ref comment. They're like, "Yeah, no, I saw that as a first down." And it's like when the announcers can't even still lie for you, like there's a problem. And even if it's not intentional, there's a problem with the way you're calling plays, and we need to fix it. You can't have these big game changing plays that when people are watching it, they see it one way and then you're sticking with a call that isn't. And
Yeah.
some of them are very obvious and some of them are like close, but you can't just keep having plays change games that are super super questionable. It's just they have to figure out a way to fix it and take the refs. The refs shouldn't be deciding the games. It should be the play of the
Mhm.
players. That's what I think.
Exactly. I agree. I think the Bills they might have gotten screwed. Did the Bills get screwed? Like, like it's a big question. There was also the whole thing right before the 2 minute warning there. That whole
Oh my
situation.
gosh. Yeah,
Yeah, that
the
was
the
ridiculous.
the one guy said it. I'm like, yeah, you just made that up. Oh, the
I've
play
never heard that.
the game clock and the play clock are blended.
No,
So when it is 2-0, no, that has never happened before ever. They made that play. They made
nope.
that up right then and there. That is not how it's ever been. If the play clock doesn't matter if it's a percentage of a second. If it is ahead of the game clock, it is ahead of the game clock. You have to, it doesn't matter. It will expire before the 2 minute warning. That is how it has been and always been. Yet they made it up in Casey's favor. 100. Yeah, that's actually the most furious thing because
That one that annoyed me a
they made
lot.
that up. That's never
I
been anything.
I've been watching football for a long time. I've played football for a long time. It's never been a thing until Kansas City Chiefs needed to go down the field and score. That it's just never been a thing. I can't believe that one. That in the one spot, I don't know, man. I think no matter what the Eagles do, the NFL script might just happen.
Yeah, you got to blow them out. That's what you got to do.
Pretty much.
Because
Yeah.
they're gonna try to keep it close, and they're gonna try to keep
I mean,
Casey in it. That's just how that's how
mhm.
it's been all year. Keep it
That's how
close
it
and keep
has
Casey in it.
been for 3 years now. Yeah.
So you got to blow them out. I mean, if you had to make an argument that it is scripted, it's 100%. Why wouldn't if they were going to script it? Why wouldn't they script it for Casey? Because you do have the Kelsey Swift
Hmm.
aspect where all that's doing is increasing viewership and it's increasing your probably your least amount of watched people. You're increasing that in women and Taylor Swift fans. Like why
The small
if it,
demographic. Yeah.
there's an insane incentive to have Casey play as many games as they possibly can every year because that's just going to increase the because there's going to be tons of people who are literally just watch because they want to see the couple shots of when they pan to Taylor Swift. Why? And you're gonna root for KC because you're rooting for Taylor. Why?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the
Well,
NFL be incentivized? They are.
it's like it's just one shot a game. They watch the whole game just for one glimpse of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I
That's
think
all it is. And it's ridiculous. And you know she's going to be at the Super Bowl. And you know she's going to get airtime. You know what? That should be a fun drinking game. How many times Taylor Swift is mentioned during the Super Bowl?
you're gonna be drunk, my man. You're gonna be real drunk. Gonna be real drunk. Yeah, I mean they're gonna show her a lot, and I mean KC become I think they've become like a worse version of what the Patriots were because a lot of people hated the Patriots. They hated Tom Brady, but I feel like just for some reason KC's got like this weird thing about him where you just maybe it's just me. I think it's the refs for me over the years, even against the Texans when like they're getting whack ass calls on Ruffin Patrick Mahomes. It's like they treat him different than any other quarterback, which is baloney.
Mhm.
That's not how the NFL is supposed to be ran.
I think it's also part of the fact that everybody hates on the greatness of great players.
For
Like
sure. That's
everybody hated Tom Brady. Everybody hated the Patriots forever. People hate the Yankees for just because they've been around for so long.
no, but yeah, you're always greatness is always gonna have its haters. I think
Hmm.
100%. They are amazing. Um
There's one exception to that statement, I'd say. I would say Wayne Gretzky is one of the most universally loved
yeah.
hockey players. I There's a reason they call him the great one, pretty
Hmm.
much. I
Yeah, it was hard to
don't
hate him.
know. Yeah, and he is undisputedly the best of all time. I don't know if you've ever seen his statistics, but
Oh yeah, it's what his brother played a little bit. If
Gretzky's brother.
yeah, and if you take him and his brother, they are the number one highest scoring, brothers to ever
Play in the
play in the
NHL.
NFL. And his brother, I think, pretty sure he didn't score anything. Like, or if he did,
He has
it was like
goals.
4 points, maybe like a couple assists, but it was like literally it's just because Gretzky is so much ahead of everybody, isn't it? Like Gretzky's got a insane stat. Like if you take away his goals, he's still
So
is
if you
he
take
like
away
number?
every goal he's ever had,
Yeah,
he would still be number one in the NHL for most points just by his
which is
assists.
so insane. Yeah, it's so insane. He's the best of the best, like in a sport. Like you can't even like argue another player really.
Yeah,
Like
so
there's no
Wayne
other
Gretzky,
player.
I just looked it up. Wayne Gretzky has 2,857 points, right? The next closest is Jaromir Jagr, who has
Yermir.
1,921. He is almost 1,000 points more than the next highest player.
Yermir Yager was great.
Yeah.
I remember he played with the Penguins when Mario Lemieux. I think he was also a flyer.
He played for Pittsburgh, Washington, the Rangers, Philadelphia, Dallas, Boston, New Jersey, Florida, and Calgary.
Dang, that's a lot of freaking teams.
He's
He
been
had
around
he had a
for
long
freaking
career.
ever.
But he's got to be retired now
No, yeah, he's definitely retired. You're right.
because he was when we were real little.
Yeah, he was drafted before we were born.
Yeah, yeah, which is insane. No, but you could play if you could play hockey for longer than a lot of sports because I'm sure Gretzky had to have been in his 40s still playing probably. Yaromir probably was. I mean, heck, Mario Lemieux. I'm pretty sure Mario Lemieux was either the coach or he was the owner or something. I think he was the coach or owner when he was playing on the Penguins with Jaromir Jagr.
Oh, yeah, he did play for Pittsburgh. I mean, he's number 8 on this list for points too,
Who,
with
Mario?
1,700. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow, he was the first overall pick for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
I didn't know that either. I don't.
Gretzky, I can honestly say he's actually. Do you think that is one of the records that will never be touched? That's got to be up there for one of them.
Gretzky's total
That maybe
points.
that
Yeah.
or like Brett Favre's most games played record, most
Yeah.
consecutive games.
Brett Favre's
That's
probably won't get touched, and then yeah, Gretzky's points won't get touched. I do think LeBron is similar how I viewed Peyton Manning, where a lot of people hate LeBron and hate on LeBron. But
mm-hmm.
I feel like you just got to understand that you are watching something that won't probably ever happen again. Where you had just an extreme athlete who also had longevity. Like we won't ever really, I don't think we'll ever see another LeBron. And I don't think we really ever saw a LeBron where you just had a person who could
Do everything.
yeah, he could do everything. He was a game manager, and I don't think that's the negative connotation that you get that in the NFL. I think it's a game manager in the sense that he could score if he has to score, he can assist, he could rebound, he could do everything very well. And the longevity is just unheard of. He hasn't had as much success in the finals, but it's also there's a lot of really good players I think in the NFL right now. A lot of really good teams too throughout his career.
NBA, you mean?
Yeah, NBA.
I want to be clear. I'm like, wait a second, I lost track there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
The NBA is weird nowadays. I don't like watching the NBA much anymore. I used to, but now it's just a 3-point competition. That's
Yeah,
all people try.
I don't
It's not the
watch.
same. Like Steph Curry, he changed the game. I don't know if it was for the good though.
Yeah.
I think everybody just tries to shoot a 3-point game and it's literally passing it to the 3-point line and then people shoot. At some point it gets old. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't watch much basketball, but when I used to, it was different. Like Amar'e
Yeah,
Stoudemire and watching all these people be able to dunk the ball and actually do something besides a 3-point shot. It's different. It's a change of pace from a half court shot every time. I mean, it's awesome to watch sometimes, but it gets repetitive, if that makes sense.
yeah, I think similar to how the NFL has evolved and like to a more offensive game, so has the NBA. But I think it's different in the sense that a lot of the excitement it's made the NFL exciting when you get like high scoring games and points, whatever. But the NBA, I think, part of the excitement was good defense, was, physical dunks and everything.
Yeah.
And it becoming more offensive and, a points game and a field goal percentage game. I don't think it is for the better. And I think, the NFL, it's just way hard. They made it way harder to play defense, and they made it way harder to play defense in the NBA. I just think that it had two different outcomes. And I think the NBA has lost its way. And I think same with like baseball. Baseball has lost its way a little bit too, in the sense that, it's different than it used to be, as well as I don't know if it's better than it used to be, Whereas I don't know if it's better than it used to be either for the NFL, but it's, dollars to donuts, they're getting more money. So it's better for the owners. Shit.
Yeah, they're always gonna just want that money.
Mhm.
It's all about the money. It's why Roger Goodell finds people for ridiculous shit all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was what's the player that got fined for somebody else saying something? It was Mixon, right? Yeah. Well, some player he got fined because somebody else said something and Roger Goodell thought it was Joe Mixon or whoever it was, but he actually like had to pay all this money. It was ridiculous. It's a horseshit thing.
Well, that would
And
suck. Well, yeah, there's
yeah,
no rules either, or guidelines on how you're going to get fined. He just makes it up.
yeah.
But
I mean,
the owners
Tyreek
love
Hill
him.
got fined for wearing different cleats.
Yeah.
Like the NFL approved. It's just a way to get more money because these players they get paid a lot of money, and
Hmm.
I think Goodell knows it. He just wants to find a reason and a philosophy to find these guys, and it's unfortunate. Like, what the hell, man? What is your prediction for the Super Bowl? Actually,
My prediction for the Super Bowl, it's going to be a hopeful prediction. But I'm going 34-21. It's close late, but I think the Eagles, I think like maybe Barkley breaks off a run and puts that into a two-score game. I think the Eagles have a very, very good roster,
mm-hmm.
both offense and defense, and I think that's just going to trump the Patrick Mahomes effect. I am worried about how good Casey's defense is, though. I think Casey has a very, very good defense. So I could see me being ass backwards and having a very off prediction. But I do think Philadelphia's just their roster construction right now is just phenomenal. And I think, they're just gonna be it's gonna be a little bit too much of a complete team versus a good defense and a superstar QB with a superstar tight end. I do have a hot take. There is a prop bet that I am going to say hit, put 25-50 bucks on it, is or maybe put 25-25, is they do have Xavier Worthy 25 rushing yards. I think
Big
he gets
rush.
like, yeah, I think he gets an end around or something. And I think the 25 is like 800, and then they have, or 600 maybe, and then they have a 40 plus. And I think he's someone who could take it end around and go 40-50 yards. The 40 plus is like, maybe only do like 20 bucks, 25 bucks on that. But or do 25. It's 50 bucks. What are you going to do? Just don't go out to dinner one night. But that's like 1,500 odds. But I mean, that both teams are going to do lately. I feel like each team does like one trick play or one, and the Chiefs, they're going to do an end around. They're going to do an end around to Xavier Worthy. They're going to do one. It might go for 2 yards, but if it
Yeah,
breaks, you're going to make some money. If it
they're
breaks, you're
gonna
going to
try
get
it.
some money and get your money. That's all I'm saying. If it breaks, you're going to get your money. Put two, three, four, $7,000. I mean, I'm just joking. Yeah, put 20 bucks on it.
Disclaimer: we know we do not recommend these
Yeah,
bets.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't
Does not
recommend it,
count.
but bet your house on it. Xavier Worthy, 25 plus rushing yards.
So I think the Chiefs. I think they're too much for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Patrick Mahomes does Patrick Mahomes stuff, and they end up winning 24-17. I would say
Okay.
it's gonna be it's gonna be the script, man. I just can't see it not happening. I see Travis Kelsey have a day. He's gonna get at least one touchdown, probably 7 catches, 100 yards around there. Um, he's gonna have one play that just people go, "What the fuck?" This is exactly what we should have seen coming, but we just did not want to happen. And
Hmm.
he's gonna just do that. But you know what?
Yeah.
My hot take is that Patrick Mahomes catches a pass, and they
Oh,
do
okay.
what Brady tried to do and what Nick Foles did do versus Brady, and they have
Hmm.
that trick play where it could just be Travis Kelsey throws it to Patrick Mahomes because it is Andy Reid. Andy Reid,
Yeah,
he just does.
he
He's
loves
one
it.
of those creative play callers. Yes, he can do those things, and he has done them plenty of times in the past. But I don't think I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes catch a pass.
Hmm.
And I think this is the year they break it out. And yeah,
There you go. That's your
that
prop bet right there.
that's my prop
QB.
bet.
I know it was a prop bet last year because I put 20 bucks on it and it did not do anything. But it was QB to catch a pass.
Yep.
QB to catch a pass was it was crazy odds too. It was like freaking like 1,500. But I think hey, that's not a bad one. You got Jalen who could catch,
Oh
and
yeah,
just like you
good.
said, Travis Kelsey could throw the ball. He was a
Yeah,
QB
he's a
in
quarterback.
college, so
Yep.
we'll see. I think if your prediction comes true, I think it's I think the refs assist in a no call. 24-17. Eagles got like a fourth down play, and there's a questionable no call pass interference where it's like that dude got
I don't
interfered with,
know.
but they didn't throw it. It was a no call. Or if the
I
fix is really in, they throw the flag but pick it up.
pick
That's
it
when
up.
you
They
know.
pick up the
Yeah,
play.
that's they pick up the. There is no pass interference on the play.
I mean,
Kansas
there's
City
already
ball, first
kind of
down.
an asterisk on the Kansas City Chiefs even making the playoffs at this point. There's always
Oh
that
yeah,
little, yeah. Like, what
so
if
you
the
know they're
Bills
gonna
were
win
there?
it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, we'll see. My MVP of my is Saquon. I'm the only reason why I'm rooting for the Eagles is because I would love to see. I think Saquon deserves a Super Bowl. I'd love to see him win a
Yep.
Super Bowl.
It would be cool to
He's
see.
got
And
and he's MVP baby.
I would just hate to be the Giants GM right now.
Oh, I love it. That's hilarious.
You
Let's
want it
play
out?
Daniel. Yeah, let's pay Daniel. We're gonna cut him in less than 2 years, and
Yeah.
let's let Saquon walk.
And now he's on the Vikings practice squad, I think, or third string.
Yeah, yeah. We signed him to the active just so we could get a compensatory pick in case he doesn't
Oh, did you?
resign. Yeah, for the playoffs, we signed him to the active roster so we can get a pick for him. But there's a chance that we might bring him back too. We'll see. But if he does walk and he gets, I don't know, if he gets over like 4 or 5 million, it could very well turn into a third round pick. So I'm down for that in 26.
So to kind of bring this back to one of our past conversations, I did some research into that Herschel Walker trade that you mentioned,
Oh
where they
God,
traded. Yeah, I didn't know any of this though. I was fascinated by it.
yeah,
So this,
yeah.
I think you're right. I think that might be the worst trade in NFL history.
Oh,
That
100
one,
percent of this.
it's either that or Ricky Williams. I couldn't choose between the two.
It's Herschel. You traded because like what was it? They traded players. There was a whole bunch of players, but the player like there were stipulations that the if the players weren't on the active roster, they turned in like a whole bunch of them turned into first rounds, and then some of them turned into second rounds, some of them turned third, fourth, whatever. And then so they just cut them all. So then we had to give all these picks to them. So they got it was like 3 or 4 first round picks, like mad seconds, mad thirds, mad four. Yeah, they got a
Yep,
haul for Herschel,
they
and it
got
was just
a whole bunch, and they
yeah, it was
drafted
fantastic.
Emmett Smith with one of those picks.
Yep.
They drafted
Jesus.
I forget his name. It wasn't Rod Woodson. It was their all-time tackle leader for the
It was
Cowboys.
it was Rod Woodson, I think.
I thought he
No, he
played
was the
for
Steelers.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, it
Yeah, he was the Steelers.
was a different
Ah,
Woodson. But anyways, they got him. They got another player that started for him for like 8 years, and they got all
yep,
these incredible players. And it, like, come on, they had to have just the Dallas had to have seen that deal. Be like, they knew it instantly what they were going to do. It doesn't matter who the players are or what they did. You get a first round for them, just cut them.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, it was just so bad. God, it just turned in so bad.
yeah, I made a whole video on that one. So
Yeah, I drafted Emmitt Smith. My gosh.
yeah, the
Oh.
all-time rushing leader for the entire NFL history.
Yeah, Darren. They got Kevin Smith, who was a really good corner. They got Darren Woodson.
Okay,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they just. Well, I mean, they made that trade, and then what did they do? They won 3 Super Bowls in
yeah,
4 or 5 years. Ugh,
yeah,
disgusting. So bad.
yeah. The Minnesota Vikings made that Dallas Cowboys dynasty.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not a good look.
Yeah, no. So basically, it says right here is end result of the trade of the 19 at the end of the 1995 season. The Dallas Cowboys for the Herschel Walker trade. They received 3 Super Bowl wins. They received
Yeah,
Emmitt Smith. They received defensive tackle Russell Maryland, who played 10 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys, Oakland Raiders, and Green Bay Packers. But 10 seasons, that's a good player. Clayton Holmes, who doesn't look like he was much. Kevin Smith, who was a corner for all 3 Super Bowls. I do know he played. Fuck, so dumb. And then Darren Woodson, who played 11 years, all for
yeah.
Dallas.
He's the all-time leader in tackles for the Cowboys.
And the Vikings got 0 Super Bowl appearances. Surprise,
All of the draft
surprise.
picks too.
Yep. And then they got who was a good wide receiver. They got Jake Reed. But my gosh, so bad. Ugh.
And
Yeah,
Herschel
it's
Walker,
the
who really didn't do much for the
no, he
Vikings.
didn't do nothing. Well, and then like also like it's similar to the Ricky Williams sense in that uh the aftermath is hey, like look how much you just cost. Like
Hmm.
you have to be amazing, and he just wasn't. He wasn't. He was just a okay running back for us. He was like past his playing prime, at least number wise, and it's just and it's the same thing with Ricky. The level of pressure, you're never gonna be able to live up to that.
Yeah, that might be why neither one of them did very well. I mean, Ricky Williams, he also got hurt on New Orleans and Miami when he went there, but there was
Yeah.
just a massive. This is the moment where you have to take over, and you're it. That's all we got. We can't draft anybody. You don't have any help. That's pretty much all on your back. You have to win with this team that we have now. And if you don't, it's all right. We're screwed. We just won't be good for a while.
Another sneaky bad trade that is very recent is the Deshaun Watson trade.
Oh, that's actually a
I
good
mean,
point.
you got a 2022 first round and fourth round pick, 2023 first and third round pick, and 2024 first and fourth round pick for Deshaun Watson and a sixth round pick. That is horrible. Deshaun Watson, he's not getting his massages. He's bad, and he's been injured. It's bad, and then to turn on that and signed a guaranteed $230 million contract to also put in that contract that he's only going to get paid $1 million of that 230 in the first year because you know he's going to be suspended for that first year. So he only loses out on $1 million. I mean, shoot, whoever his
I
whoever
need
his
his age.
agent is, his
Yeah,
agent is his agent is a-okay, blockbuster. Everyone should want him.
yeah, I would agree. So who did the Houston Texans get out of that trade? Does it say?
The Houston Texans, they got, let's see. Oh, it's not going to give me a great. The Houston Texans got O lineman Kenyon Green.
I don't know who
Not
that
exactly
is.
sure who that is. The Texans, they got John Mechie the third. He played a little bit, and then
Yeah, I recognize
uh,
his.
I don't even know if he's on the team still, but I know he played. He was okay. Linebacker Christian Harris. Uh, Defensive lineman Thomas Booker. They got running back Damian Pierce.
Well, he was good for a little bit. I mean, they got Joe Mixon now, so it's not gonna
They did package that
matter for him.
pick, one of the Cleveland Browns picks, with a future first round pick. Their future first round pick, not the Cleveland. They kept the Cleveland one, and uh, the original Cleveland pick in the 2023 draft to move up and pick Will Anderson Jr., who is an
Will
absolute monster.
Anderson's pretty good. Yeah. They also got Tank Dell out of it.
Yep,
Uh,
they got Tank Dell,
Caden Bullock, fourth round safety out of this year. Kenyon Green, yep. Will Anderson.
and then they used one of the
Uh,
later picks that they traded to somebody else, received some other draft compensation, and then they ended up being able to get Stephon Diggs. And then they got Cade Stover as well. So, all in all, what did the Texans get? I mean, they had to use one of their own first round picks as well to trade up, but they got Will Anderson. I mean, shoot, the draft cap, they were able to get Will Anderson and CJ Stroud back to back picks, second and third. I mean, Will Anderson's a monster. So, I mean, and they were able to get out of the Deshaun Watson ordeal,
yeah.
which is
I think that
looking pretty
the
darn
worst
good.
part about that isn't even the picks, it's the contract that they have to go through.
Exactly.
Because that,
230 guaranteed. He's getting
yeah,
fully. He's getting all of that. Woo!
yeah, it's not even like a little bit, like, and you can't really write it off
No.
because
The only
it's
thing you could possibly
fully
do
guaranteed.
is like and you have to get his permission, I'm pretty sure. You can't just do it. Is then to add on future void years. But you can't.
Which they just did.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like you have to get his so they got his permission. Like you can't just add on void years. You have to redo a contract and add void years. So it's not like
Yeah.
that's like one of the things is like when you do have years that are non-guaranteed, you can play around with it. And that's why if get like a huge contract, but have a couple you'll make the team happier about you if you can add a couple years that aren't guaranteed.
Hmm.
And it'll let the team be able to have a little bit of flexibility that if it's a 5-year deal, if you got you're 2 years in it but they need some draft capital, they can mess around with your contract without even asking you. And I mean, shit, it just turns into a signing bonus so you get the money quicker. I ain't complaining about that.
They owe Deshaun Watson $72 million, not only this year, but next year too.
Yeah, and he's horrible. He's probably shouldn't play another NFL game. He should
That is
probably
what
be
he
done.
counts towards their cap. 72 million.
And it does suck because he was good, like really
He used
good.
to be, he used to be good. He
I know, and then he stopped getting the
like
massages.
yeah, him and Justin Tucker, they just gotta go to the massage
They need their booty hole touched.
apparently.
I don't know. Strange birds, man. I don't know what's up with these people in massage parlors.
I know. Don't they have wives? Just go home.
I know you got Justin Tucker, Deshaun Watson, you got Kraft, Didn't he have a little bit of
Oh yeah,
questionable
Robert Kraft,
questionable things with the massage parlor? I mean, yeah.
questionable
I'm surprised
activities. Yeah,
more NFL people don't own massage parlors
Robert Kraft might just under a different name.
or marry a massage therapist. My gosh, do something. It's probably
Yeah,
they're probably just looking for some strange,
looking for something,
yeah,
and
in the
it's
wrong
definitely
places.
strange.
Yep,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's definitely strange and definitely not what you should be doing. That's for sure.
yeah. Deshaun Watson, he really fucked the Browns again. I just feel so bad for Browns fans. They're just in an eternal struggle, one that
Yeah, just badness.
has no ended. Yeah, Browns are. It's a fan base. I will say they're loyal more than anybody, because when's the last time they've won anything?
He's just I don't know. It's a shame. Sucks for them, man. They've had such heartache, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better for a little bit.
No, not with a cap hit this year for 2025 and next year for 2026.
That's the
They're
problem
not
with playing.
signing anybody.
That's the problem. That's the problem with paying these players. You never know. You never know. It should be in a stipulation like, hey, you can't go to massage unless you can't go to massage therapists or something, or you got to
Mhm.
get only at the team doctors.
Yeah, that would be a good idea to put in there. Yeah, so we got did the Super Bowl picks. What else we got here? Want to do? All right. How about at what point is there a better QB in the NFC than probably the top four in the AFC?
Yeah, I mean, my pick for NFC is Jaden Daniels, and I mean, you obviously got Mahomes. I think you got Josh Allen above him.
Uh-huh.
I think you have Lamar Jackson above him. I think you got Joe Burrow. Um, fifth best QB in the AFC. Who's that going to be?
Justin Herbert, maybe? No, probably Bo Nix.
You got Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. Um,
No, CJ Stroud. What do we talk about?
yeah, you got CJ Stroud. Am I taking CJ Stroud over Jaden Daniels? That's pretty close. I think CJ Stroud's probably a better passer. Am I taking him over Jaden Daniels? So it's hard because CJ Stroud had a down-ish year. I'm probably still taking CJ Stroud to be honest, though, just
I'm
because of
probably
lack
taking.
of
Yeah,
yeah, just because lack of tape on Jaden. It's 1 year. Last year, I could make the argument CJ Stroud had a better year than Jaden's year this year, and then CJ Stroud had a down year, but it was still a good year.
my argument against Jaden Daniels. I don't think he's the top QB in the league. Well, top QB in the NFC, only because we saw one of these seasons where RG3 did the same thing
Uh
and he
huh.
fizzled out. Ironically, on the same exact team.
It's very true. Well, who would you put? Would it be Jared Goff? Because I'm taking CJ Stroud over Jared Goff.
Yeah, I would take. Yeah, I would take CJ Stroud over Jared Goff. I'd say. Um, Baker Mayfield is probably up there though. Baker did great this
Baker's,
season.
you know what? Baker might be the best NFC quarterback. I'm glad you brought him up. He actually might be the best.
He was on fire this season.
He actually might be the best NFC, which is so funny.
Him or Jalen Hurts, I'd say.
Jalen Hurts is up there. It's probably between them two, and you probably could say Jalen Hurts. I
You
just
could say Jalen Hurts because of that tush push, that unstoppable play.
hmm
It nobody can do that. Is the biggest thing that he has going for him. But he also has that best roster in football. That
yeah,
offensive line, incredible. Barkley, look at him, man. He's doing things that I didn't think you could jump backwards and hurdle over somebody until this year. Nobody knew that you could even do that.
yeah. It was,
AJ Brown, he's an animal. He is an absolute animal. And then Devontae Smith too, and even Dallas Goddard, great player too. So he's got a stacked offense with him. Whereas Baker, he's got some good players in Mike Evans, and Godwin was for half the year, but he did a lot with nobody
Well,
too.
he's a better passer. The
Yes.
Yeah, so Jalen, I think that's Jalen Hurts. It's the same problem that I personally have with like Lamar Jackson. They could be top two, top three QBs in the NFL. I just, in my mind, I don't. Well, one, it helps obviously to have like a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen in the argument for top QB. It's
Mhm.
just I don't think they could. I think the top quarterback in the NFL will always be a QB that can just make every single possible throw. And I don't think Lamar Jackson is a, if you kept him in the pocket, I don't think he could make every single throw. And I think that's the same thing with Jalen Hurts. And I think Lamar Jackson is a better passer than Jalen Hurts. And I just think like I think Patrick Mahomes can make every single throw. I think Josh Allen can make every single throw. I think he's a little bit more um risky maybe with the ball, but I do think he could, but and I think that's just the game on the line. You got to drive down and you got to score. Lamar did do it against the Bills and then it was just a dropped pass. I do think, you know, with when the game is on the line and you got to drive down and you're down and you got to score, it's good to have a QB that can run, but if you have the best pure passer that has a little, it's always good to have a little athleticism, but that pure passer is going to be, the trump card that I want in my back pocket. Now to
Like Baker.
Jalen Hurts, yeah, to Jalen Hurts and to Lamar Jackson, all as I say it, prove me wrong. Do it. And I think Lamar basically did do it. So maybe he did prove me a little wrong and that, Mark Andrews dropped it. But to Jalen Hurts, prove me wrong this Sunday. Not this Sunday, next Sunday. But like, prove me wrong. I'd love it. Show me
The
you
Robert
could pass the
California
ball.
argument. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go, baby. I mean, I really don't think you're that good of a QB. I think you're a running back who can throw the ball. Prove me wrong, baby. Prove me wrong. And I think he's Jalen Hurts is a streaky thrower of the ball quarterback where sometimes when he's on, he looks amazing at throwing the
Yeah.
ball. He throws dimes sometimes, but then sometimes it's just like, what are you doing? Like you're an NFL quarterback. Come on.
You
And I
gotta make
think,
that throw.
yeah, and I think that's the difference between your best throwers of the ball and your lower end throwers of the ball at the QB position is it's just the consistency of top level throws and plays. And I think that's like where the bar is different with your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allen, and your Joe Burrow is where they just when you need a pass thrown, you can count on them. And then you can't always count on a Lamar Jackson, who's semi proven that wrong more, which keep doing that, and that's fine. You can move into the other bucket. But Jalen's just got to show it in my book.
I think we forgot about somebody, Matt.
Oh, crap.
We forgot about somebody that has done this before in the Super Bowl and won it in the NFC West and gone to the playoffs and made the plays within
Oh,
Matthew Stafford.
yeah, shit. He's probably the best in the NFC. What am I talking about?
Yep, I would say Matt Stafford is probably the
Yeah.
best in the NFC,
Okay.
especially
I
with his two receivers there. They have Puka Nakua is a freak. I love that dude. He's awesome to watch. Cooper Cup, he's still got it in him too, I'd say. They just got to get some other players around him. And you know what? That rookie class that they drafted, that defense is looking good too.
I'll tell you what, I'm taking Matthew Stafford over CJ Stroud. Matthew Stafford's at the end of towards the end of his career, but I'm taking him over CJ Stroud. I'm trying to think. So I would
I
actually
think
rank
that's
it. Yeah, I think he'd still be there. I would actually rank it as far as QBs that I would want. It would be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, then Lamar Jackson, then Matthew Stafford. It's just how I would want it. And that's age is a problem with Matthew Stafford right now for me. Lamar is great. And I think you can make an argument. I think this past year, Joe Burrow was great. and I've actually had Joe Burrow higher in the past than Josh Allen. But I think Josh Allen's finally coming into his own where like I mean, shoot,
He's a baller.
give him some good, give him some more weapons and he could. But I think it's there's a huge gap. The gap just keeps getting bigger as far as like pure QBs, where you got Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. I think Lamar Jackson's up there. A lot of that has to do with his running ability. I think it's just pure
So for
passers. I
me,
mean, Matthew Stafford's popped up above Lamar.
yeah, I'd agree there. For me, Mahomes is number one because he's Mahomes. He's done everything. I'd say Lamar Jackson is number two
Okay,
because he can do things with his legs that no other quarterback can do. Probably
I
take
respect
Josh
that.
Allen three, and then Joe Burrow at four, and then probably Stafford and Stroud and all them.
No,
But
I
yeah,
respect that.
I I really do like Lamar Jackson. I think he can just do things that no other quarterback is capable of in the NFL. You can
Yeah.
see him. He changes that offense. He's a whole different offensive type of player, especially with Derrick Henry back there, because he can take that QB option and run it to the outside. Henry can just run it up the middle, also for like 5 to 8 yards
Hmm.
minimum. But it's they got a dangerous combo there. That's what I like about it. If they have I'd say they need one more deep threat wide receiver just to kind of make it happen. Because Zay Flowers, he's good, but I don't know, he didn't get as consistent as I would have liked him to if he was supposed to be the number one wide receiver.
I agree.
So if they got, I don't know, if they get T Higgins, that's a that's a dangerous offense, man.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I maybe I'm so maybe I am too hard on on Lamar Jackson performances in the playoffs.
Okay, I can
I could
understand
say
that. Yeah,
that. I could and but I you're making me think is, what has Josh Allen? Like Josh Allen hasn't won. They've never gone to the Super Bowl. So maybe a more accurate one would be in my book would be Patrick Mahomes and then maybe it's like a Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. If I'm taking because Josh hasn't won either, but
no,
Joe Burrow's won't, has beaten
been
Mahomes in the
there.
past. He's been in the Super Bowl. Maybe that's the true equalizer is that I'm too hard on Lamar and I'm not hard enough on Josh. Because at the end of the day,
Joe
Josh,
Burrow,
you gotta slay the demon. Joe Burrow at least
yeah,
slayed it once.
he's done it.
He
He's
lost in the
been
Super Bowl to Matthew Stafford, and that Rams team was darn good with Cooper and Aaron. You know, to be in the talks with the best, you got to beat the best, and you know, Joe's done it once, but Lamar and Josh haven't. So maybe I'm too hard on Lamar compared to like Josh as an example.
yeah.
Maybe I'm
Might
giving Josh too
uh,
much.
it's the hometown discount you got, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So we'll
Joe
see.
Burrow and Brady are the only ones that have beaten Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy.
That's some good
Yeah, there's no
company there.
denying Patrick. Patrick and Andy Reid being a match made in heaven. They're this day
Mhm.
and age is Brady and Belichick. You just got two elite people being able to intertwine their abilities and to put greatness on the field.
It's interesting watching them, and they both kind of learn and grow together. And especially because Andy Reid, he's already been to the Super Bowl with Philadelphia way back in the day. He's still doing it, and he's had a lot more success in Kansas City than Philadelphia. But it's interesting, especially because like those two cities could not be more different. I'd
Oh,
say
right, yeah,
Kansas City is like the barbecue capital, and then Philadelphia on the east side, it's a harsh city to play for. If
yeah.
you're
They'll
not
eat you
good,
alive.
you're not gonna make it. You got to be great.
Yep, for sure. Tis crazy.
Okay, who was your disappointment of the year this year?
Oh, I mean, Jets are up there. You know,
Oh, I didn't even think about the Jets.
they're a pretty big
Aaron
disappointment.
Rodgers.
And
Yep.
just the way they played last year without Aaron Rodgers, they were
Yep.
like better. They were better. They were better with him not playing. So that was a big disappointment. The Bears had so much hype, and
Yeah.
it's just they just did not look great. And
Caleb Williams, huge disappointment on the season.
yeah, yeah, well, the whole team. I mean, they had. I think they were propped up a little bit too much. I mean,
Yep.
their O line was horrendous going into the season, and I think people downplayed that a little too much. And I think it really showed just how bad. And Caleb Williams just holds on to the ball too long for how bad that offensive line is.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of that ball quicker, especially when you have a bad line. And I think that's just it'll be interesting to see what Ben Johnson, who is like a timing coach, how he can adapt his offense a little bit to a or coach up Caleb to Caleb being a QB who like doesn't play that much with timing. He's more of a ad lib kind of player. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But
Yeah.
it's
The
just
Bears are a huge disappointment on the season,
yeah.
I'd say. Pretty much everybody. Keenan Allen was supposed to come in, be that veteran leadership, show that he still has it. I don't think he does after this season.
No,
Odunze
yeah, he's done.
was supposed to be that big play threat. There was a point in preseason where I saw Caleb Williams. He rolled out to the right, made some incredible throw to Odunze on the sideline. I was like, oh God, I don't want to have to
Yeah,
live with this.
they had flashes of greatness, but it was just
Uh-huh.
and I mean, by gosh, their coaching in the beginning with Eberflus was I mean, they lost games because of him. Bad,
Yeah,
bad,
what
bad,
was
bad.
that? That game versus the Lions is going to haunt them.
Yeah, that was madness. That was a game that you should have at least tied and brought to overtime, but I don't even know. It was just incomprehensible.
Yeah. Rodgers was another big one. He had so much hype the past 2 years. We were waiting to see him play with that offense.
Yeah, he's cooked. He's too
He
old.
he just looked old. He looked like the shell of what he used to be, and what Peyton Manning and Brady, well, not so much Brady, but more Peyton Manning turned into when he was on the Broncos there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just can't make the plays that he used to be able to make.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
besides that, other teams, I don't even trying to think off the top
Russell
of my head.
Wilson in Pittsburgh, I thought he would do a lot better.
Yeah,
Those guys.
they were doing good, and then they went on a terrible run of just
Yep.
horrible play. They like
I'd say,
lost what? They like lost out like 5 games or 6 games or something.
yeah, they always start so good and things just blow up. I don't know what happens
Mm,
to them. I'd say the biggest disappointment of the season, though, has got to be the San Francisco 49ers.
yeah,
Christian
yeah, they didn't.
McCaffrey was supposed to come in and be the number one running back. He was supposed to be the best running back in the NFL. And then suddenly he has tendonitis in both legs that nobody knew about until about an hour before the first game of the season.
Yeah, you screwed over a whole bunch of fantasy owners with that. By
Yeah,
gosh.
including me.
Yeah, he was out for how long? He was out for like the majority of the season. He was out for what 10 weeks, and then didn't he play a little bit, and then he was out again?
Came
Yeah,
back for 1.5 games.
yeah.
But yeah, that offense was supposed to be completely different. Debo Samuel, what the fuck
He was
happened to him,
horrible.
man?
I drafted him. He was sucked. Are you kidding? And it was like I had to eventually sit him, but it was sucked because it's Debo. He should be playing him. It's like you got to sit him. He's just not getting points at all.
Yeah,
He's bad,
Ayuk was out for
bad.
the season. He got hurt. That defense, it was okay, but that defense for the 49ers, they've always just been incredible, and they just didn't have it this year.
Yeah, and to add on that too is the Bengals were a disappointment. Just
Yeah,
how
the
bad that
Bengals
defense
defense
was. They
epically bad.
and how good their offense was. A severe disappointment in what kind of season they put together.
What about the Dolphins there? They were projected to be one of the top offenses in the league, and
Yeah, they
they
were
couldn't get
pretty.
it done.
They were a pretty big disappointment too. Yeah, they sucked.
To put it simply, yeah, they just sucked.
They were not good.
Detroit, I'd say, was the biggest surprise of the season. I did not expect them to do nearly as good as they did. It'll be interesting to see how they move on from this season, losing both their offensive and defensive coordinator. It's a whole new coaching staff in there.
Biggest surprise, Andy. Are you kidding me? Biggest surprise, Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, what am I doing? Yeah,
I'm not saying it ended well, but almost
have to be.
tons of analysts had projected them being the fourth team. Their over under was, I think, 5.5 games, and they
They
won
almost
14.
tripled it. Yeah,
They were projected to be the fourth, or at least at the best third in the division, and they ended up being the highest ever second seed. But it was well deserved to only be a second seed as the end of the season played out. But yeah, I mean, overachievers. I'd have to
I'd
give
say
it to
the
them
Vikings.
because everyone knew the Lions were going to be good. Did we know
Yes,
they were going to be that good? No, but everyone knew they were going to be probably the winners of the. They were the favorites to win the division
yeah,
for sure.
but I don't know. They had such a complete team, and then they just got injured toward the end. And
Yeah, I mean their offense was historic in the sense that I think
Mhm.
they were either number 2 or number 3 in points.
Yep. Denver was also a big surprise. Didn't
Yeah,
expect them to be good at all.
Chargers being as good as they were, surprised as well.
Chargers. Yep. Chargers were pretty damn good too. I'd say Tampa Bay didn't expect that offense to be as great as it was,
Yeah,
as we mentioned earlier. There's a quite a few big surprises this season. I'd say the most disappointing fact of this whole season though is how the refs are still shaping these games. I hate refs.
yeah,
I just hate them so much now.
it's bad. They're, between missed calls all season and phantom calls or just making calls that are borderline, but they're consistently called for certain teams and consistently not for other teams. It's something they gotta figure it out. It's
Yeah,
not good.
I
It's not
agree.
good for. It's not a good look.
No, they need something else to change. I don't know how they can fix it. Probably they already kind of review calls, but why didn't they review the Buffalo Bills calls?
I don't know, man. They did, but they just suck. They got an agenda. They got incentives,
They're being paid off.
something, or they're told it'd be in
Yeah,
your best interest to do it this way.
being paid off or something. All right, that was the last thing I had here. All right, I'll have a good one. Um, episode 7 officially done.
Let's go, baby.
There's again, Matt's
Sideline
favorite little
whispers.
Sideline Whispers. Da-da-da.
Sideline whisper.
We should make our own song.
I know.
All right, have a
Sideline
good
whisper. All right, yeah, I'll see you, buddy. Take care.
one.